The first thing I noticed was the empty space. It shouldn't have mattered.
It was just a parking spot.
Concrete, painted lines, nothing special, but it was mine. Or, at least it used to be. I stood there longer than I should have, keys still in my hand, staring at the gap like my mind hadn't caught up yet. Because there's a moment, right before reality settles in, where everything still feels reversible. Like maybe you parked somewhere else. Like maybe you forgot. Like maybe this isn't what it looks like. But it was. My car was gone. Not moved. Not borrowed.
Gone.
I pulled out my phone and called my father. He picked up on the second ring. "Hey," he said, too casually. That was the first thing.
Not what he said.
How he said it, like nothing had happened. "Where's my car?" I asked. Straight.
No confusión. No build-up.
A pause.
Short.
Controlled. Then, "I was going to tell you," he said. And just like that, everything shifted. "Tell me what?" I asked. Even though I already knew, because phrases like that never lead anywhere good. "I had to sell it," he said.
Calm.
Measured. Prepared. Not guilty. Not nervous. Just decided. "You what?" I asked. Not louder. Just clearer. Because I needed to hear him say it again. "I sold it," he repeated. Another pause. Longer this time. Because now, he was choosing his words. It was for a family emergency. There it was. The justification. The shield. The one thing that makes everything harder to argue against.
Family.
Emergency. Two words that demand silence. Two words that force you to step back. Because if it's true, then what can you say? "What emergency?" I asked. And this time, he hesitated. Just slightly. But enough. "Your aunt needed help," he said. It was urgent. That was the second thing. Not the answer. The way it came out. Too quick. Too convenient. Too clean. "How urgent?" I asked. "Serious," he replied. "Medical." Of course. Because nothing shuts down questions faster than that. I closed my eyes for a second. Took a breath. Because part of me wanted to push. To question. To dig deeper. But another part, the part that trusted him, said stop. Because if he was telling the truth, then pushing would make me the problem. "Why didn't you ask me?" I said quietly. "I didn't have time," he replied. It had to be done immediately. Another clean answer. Another perfect reason. Everything about it made sense. Too much sense. "That car was mine," I said. "I know," he replied. "And I'll make it right." That line always comes last. Like it fixes something. Like it closes the gap between what happened and what it means. "It's just a car," he added. And that's when I felt it. Not anger. Not yet. Something else. Something colder. Because when someone says it's just, it means it mattered more than they're admitting. To me, it wasn't just a car. It was independence. Work. Late nights. Savings. Years of effort. But I didn't say that. Because if this was real, if it really was an emergency, then none of that mattered. "Okay," I said. And I meant it. Because at that moment, I chose to trust him. That was my decision. And decisions have consequences. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet.
No updates.
No details. No follow-up, which was strange. Because emergencies don't disappear. They evolve. They require attention. They leave traces. But this one felt contained. Closed. Like something that had already been handled. Too quickly. I asked about my aunt once. "How is she?" I said over dinner. "She's better," he replied immediately.
No hesitación. No elaboración.
"Already?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. It wasn't as bad as they thought. That was the third thing. Not what he said. How easily it ended. Because real emergencies don't resolve like that. Not clean, not simple, not without detail. But I let it go, again, because trust isn't something you question once. It's something you question after patterns. And I didn't have enough yet. A week later, I saw something I wasn't supposed to. Not intentionally, just by accident. I was at a restaurant downtown. Nothing fancy, just somewhere quiet after work. I wasn't even looking for anything until I heard his voice. Laughter, relaxed,
Carefree.
I turned slightly, and there he was, my father, sitting at a table across the room, with my brother, and two other people I didn't recognize. Drinks on the table, expensive ones, food half finished, conversation flowing easily. There was nothing wrong with that, not on its own. But then, I saw the receipt, folded slightly near the edge of the table, and I recognized the number. Not clearly, just enough. Because when something belongs to you, you recognize it, even from a distance. I didn't move, didn't approach, didn't interrupt, because something inside me had already shifted. I left, quietly,
Calmly.
without being seen, because now I needed to be sure. Not emotional, not reactive.
Certain.
That night I went home, opened my laptop, logged into my account.
And started checking.
Transactions.
Dates. Amounts.
And there it was. Not one charge. Multiple. Restaurants.
Clubs.
Luxury stores. All within the same week. All funded by one thing. The money for my car. And just like that, the truth stopped being a possibility. It became a fact. There was no emergency.
No urgency.
No medical crisis.
Just a story.
Carefully constructed. Perfectly delivered. And completely false. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen, because now everything made sense. The hesitation, the clean answers, the quick resolution. He didn't sell my car to save the family. He sold it because he knew I wouldn't question it. That was his mistake. I didn't confront him that night. That was the first real decision. Because anger makes noise. And noise warns people. I didn't want to warn him. I wanted him comfortable, unaware. Exactly the way he had been when he made the decision to sell my car. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. It was about trust. And once that's broken, you don't fix it. You expose it. The next morning, everything looked normal. He was in the kitchen, reading the news like nothing had happened. Coffee in one hand.
Calm.
Routine. Untouched. Morning, he said. Same tone.
Same ease.
Like the last week didn't exist. Morning, I replied. And I sat down, across from him, because today was different. You didn't tell me everything, I said.
No build-up. No hesitation.
Just truth. He lowered the paper slightly. Not fully. Just enough. What do you mean? He asked. That was the first lie. Not the words. The instinct. Because he already knew. I checked the transactions, I said. And that's when it happened.
The pause.
Longer than before. He folded the paper slowly. Set it down.
Carefully.
Like buying time might change something. It's not what you think, he said. Of course. That line always comes first. I think you sold my car, I replied. Another pause. Then you used the money on restaurants, drinks, and things that had nothing to do with an emergency. Silence. Because now there was nothing left to adjust. Nothing left to reframe. Nothing left to hide. It wasn't like that, he said. But his voice didn't carry the same confidence anymore. Because now he was reacting. And reactions reveal everything. Then explain it, I said.
Calm.
Flat. Final. He leaned back in his chair, ran a hand across his face. Thinking. not about what happened.
About what to say.
That money was for the family, he said finally. There it was. Another version of the same story, just reshaped. Which part? I asked. And that's when he realized this wasn't going to work, because now I had specifics. Things came up, he added quickly. They always do. That line, that justification, like it makes everything acceptable. It wasn't just for me, he continued. Your brother needed help too. Of course he did. He always did. And the rest? I asked. Silence. Because now there was no answer. I stood up slowly. Not dramatic. Not aggressive. Just done. Because I didn't need more words. I had the truth. And truth is enough. You didn't ask me, I said. A pause. Because that part mattered. You didn't tell me the truth. Another pause. Because that part mattered more. You just took it. Silence. Heavy. Final. I was going to pay you back, he said. That line always comes too late. Because repayment doesn't fix intention. It just tries to soften it. When? I asked. No answer. Because there wasn't one. I walked toward the door. Not rushing. Because this wasn't about leaving. It was about control.
Wait, he said.
His voice changed.
For the first time.
Less certain. Less composed. Don't overreact. That word. Overreact. Like my response was the problem, not his action. I stopped. Turned slightly. Just enough. This isn't a reaction, I said. And that was the truth. It's a decision. That same day, I made it. Not emotional. Not impulsive. Precise. Calculated. Final. You see, the car wasn't the only thing in my name. Everything was. The house. The accounts. The utilities. Even the business my father thought he owned. I had structured it that way years ago. For protection. For stability. For family. Ironically, at 11:45 a.m., I made the first call. Transfer ownership, I said.
No hesitaste. No explanaste.
Because everything had already been prepared. Yes, ma'am, the voice replied. And freeze access to all secondary accounts, I added. A pause.
Then,
understood. By 2:10 p.m., they felt it. Calls started.
Urgent.
Unanswered. Messages followed.
Short.
Then longer. Then desperate. Because when access disappears, reality arrives quickly. I went back in the evening. Not invited. Not expected. Just present. The door opened before I knocked. Because they were waiting. My father stood there. Different now.
No calm.
No control. Only pressure. What did you do? He asked. The same question. Different tone. Corrected something? I replied. And stepped inside. The house felt different. Not because it changed. Because ownership had. You can't just shut everything down, he said. But his voice didn't match his words. Because now, he understood. I can, I said. Simple. Final. Because it was never yours. Silence. Because now, the truth was complete. My brother stepped forward. Angry. Confused. What is this? He snapped. This, I said, looking around once, is what happens when you use something that doesn't belong to you. Another pause. Because now, they listened. You thought it was normal, I continued. And that's the problem. Just turn it back on, my father said. Not asking. Not demanding. Somewhere in between.
No, irreplia.
One word. Enough. Because this wasn't temporary. It wasn't a warning. It was a boundary. You're going too far, he added. I almost smiled. Because now, he felt it. The consequence. This started when you sold my car, I said. A pause. Because now, he remembered. You ended it when you lied. Silence. Final. I walked toward the door.
Done.
Because everything had already been decided. You'll figure it out, I added. A pause. Because timing still mattered. You always do. I stepped outside, closed the door behind me, and for the first time, there was no confusion, no doubt, because sometimes the hardest part isn't losing something. It's realizing it was never respected to begin with.